So both New York teams continue to roll. The Mets coming off a 2-game losing streak, capitalize against a very good St. Louis Cardinals lineup. And the New York Yankees playing on the road at home in their home stadium, but still on the road in George Steinbrenner Field, cap off a nice victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. So let's get right into it. Ben Rice, first off, a phenomenal game. So I got to give him a lot of credit. Ben Rice is just going off to start the year. You got to give him a lot of credit for how good this Yankees lineup has looked throughout this year, at least through the early parts of this year. Like, we can all talk about Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, there's not much more you can say about him. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge, but the fact of the matter is that they're getting a lot of production from a lot of guys you wouldn't think of. Like Jazz Chisholm was somebody you would think you would get a lot of production from early on in the year, and just, coming off last year, a great second half that he had after getting traded to the New York Yankees. But he has started off the season slow. He got ejected tonight, went 0 for 3 tonight, lowered his batting average to a 169. So Jazz isn't doing too well, but Aaron Judge is, Paul Goldschmidt is, and so is the new number 22, Ben Rice. And then, of course, to start the show, we'll start off with my New York Mets, who remain in first place, just like the New York Yankees. Both of them off to a 12-7 start. So good for them. I am very happy and very pleased with the way this year is going for both teams. So we're going to take a quick break because I got to go settle down my dog, but I will be right back to break it down for you.
One guy who's been a lot more consistent than he was last year, who I want to get into on the offensive end, Anthony Volpe. I mean, he's living up to the hype that he had last year. Obviously, he performed well on the defensive side, capturing that Gold Glove award, hitting over 20 home runs. But this season, a little bit less home runs, but the batting average has seen an increase. The on-base percentage has seen an increase. And then, obviously, his speed.
The dogs are settled down, so let's get settled in. So, like I said, Ben Rice going off. We're going to get into him in a little bit. The fact that he is going – the way he's just swinging the bat right now is just very eye-opening. I was a big Ben Rice guy in the offseason, so I'm kind of glad to see my take do well a little bit as a selfish guy sometimes. It is nice to see, and I'm not a Yankee hater, even though I'm a big Mets fan, so it is nice to see this Yankee team doing pretty well so far. They remain one game up in the AL East over the Toronto Blue Jays, and the New York Mets remain one game up over the Philadelphia Phillies, who they will be meeting this upcoming Monday for a nice little 3-game series at Citi Field to finish off the 7-game homestand. So far, Mets 1-0 on this homestand. Juan Soto continues to struggle. Another hitless day for him, but Pete Alonso also went hitless as well. But Pete Alonso, you can't really hate on him at all, because without Pete Alonso, the Mets wouldn't be in the position they are in right now. 1 game up in the NL East over the Philadelphia Phillies. But a lot to like in this game for the Mets. Mark Vientos hit his first home run. He finally broke out of his slump. He was hitting the ball very well coming into the year. He was just not getting the results. He was hitting the ball hard. He's striking out a lot less than he was last year. He's working the count a lot better than he was last year. And he's hitting the ball hard. It just hasn't gone to the right spots. Hooks a nice home run over the right field wall earlier today in the second inning today against the Cardinals. And the Mets cap off a nice 4-1 victory. Edwin Diaz locked down the save. He is now 2 in a row with clean outings so far for this team. AJ Minter again looked phenomenal. But I'm going to start it off with Griffin Cannon, and then I'm going to get into Brett Baty, who I put out a tweet before this game even started. I said, I'm not giving up on Brett Baty. Like, I love Brett Baty. I think he can be a phenomenal player for this team. I still think he has a lot of potential, even though he struggled to start the year. I still think Luisangel Acuna should be getting the majority of the at-bats at second base, but with the Jose Siri injury, both these guys will likely stay up. We'll probably see Jose Azocar be sent down to AAA again once Jeff McNeil is healthy. But, I'm excited to see what Brett Baty and Luisangel Acuna can do, because both of them are really starting to heat up. But let's talk Griffin Cannon, because Griffin Cannon is a guy who led the American League in earned runs allowed just last year, comes to the New York Mets. He comes in with a lot of good pitches. I feel like last year didn't know how to utilize those pitches. The Angels are not known for getting the most out of their pitchers. The Mets On the opposite side, they are very well known now, thanks to David Stearns, thanks to Jeremy Hefner, and the entire pitching coach staff that they have for getting the best out of these guys. And they got the best out of Griffin Cannon. It was his best start of the year. He went 6 innings, only allowed run on the day. And he's coming off a little bit of a sickness over the past few days. He was supposed to start yesterday's game, but Huascar Brazoban got the bump. In the first inning, he did a very good job. Got a clean inning out of him. Justin Hageman came in relief. He pitched 3.1 innings, got us 10 outs, 1 ball. But, for Griffin Cannon to come in and do what he did today, coming off that illness, improves his record of 2-1. He now has a 3.43 ERA on the season, only allowed 3 hits, had 8 strikeouts, had only 2 walks, and only allowed 1 run over his 6 innings of work. And it just goes to show you how good this Mets team, this Mets staff does with their pitchers. Because, like I said, Cannon was a guy last year who didn't pitch amazing at all with the Los Angeles Angels. He did make 31 starts, pitched in 32 games, 1 out of the pen, pitched to a 5.19 ERA. He gave up 31 home runs. So far, through 3 games, through 15 innings, 2 home runs is not the best, but only 2 home runs. So far, he's on a better pace than what he had last year when he gave up 31 home runs. And like I said, now he has a 3.43 ERA through his 4th start of the year compared to a 5.19 just last year. Only 4 starts in from him, but so far, so good. Even in his last outing where he did give up 4 earned runs, through the first 5 innings, Griffin Cannon looked phenomenal. So really, what I got to say about Griffin Cannon is, through his first 4 starts, Griffin Cannon has been everything that you've wanted and more. I don't think a lot of Mets fans were very pleased when the signing happened because of the numbers that he had last year with the Angels. But listen, David Stearns and Jeremy Hefner, this entire pitching coach staff, has just really worked with guys well. They reshaped Luis Severino. They reshaped Sean Manaea last year. Even Jose Quintana last year had a great year, one of his best years of his career at his age too. I believe he was 36 years old last year for the Mets. So they're doing a great job with this pitching staff. So I got to give a lot of credit for Griffin Cannon in this game. I got to give him a lot of credit for the entire through his first 4 starts. This pitching staff has been phenomenal. It's been the best in baseball for a reason. And Griffin Cannon is showing the Mets and showing the world why this, pitching lab is what they call it, is held in such high regard. So I'm very happy that Griffin Cannon just came in there and gave the Mets 6 innings. Only the 3rd Mets starter this year to pitch 6 innings. Kodai Senga pitched 6 innings in his last start. David Peterson's done it twice. But outside of those 2, it was nobody else besides Griffin Cannon tonight. So good for him. And like I said, through 4 starts so far, he did give up 4 earned runs in his last start. But, still 5 innings, a 1-run ball in his last start. And then to come off the illness that he had just a few days ago and pitch the way he did today, that's great. Against the Toronto Blue Jays lineup in his 2nd start of the year, he only allowed 4 hits, only had 3 walks, 6 Ks, only allowed 1 earned run. And then against Houston in his 1st start of the year, he only gave up 2 earned runs to a very good Houston Astros lineup that features Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena. They have a loaded lineup out there in Houston. So far, he's faced the Houston Astros with a very good lineup, the Toronto Blue Jays with a very good lineup, and the St. Louis Cardinals with another very good lineup. In fact, coming into today, the St. Louis Cardinals had a top 5 offense. I'm not sure what they're looking like right now after today, after they got only 1 run on the board, but they were averaging 5.2 runs per game, which was 5th in all of MLB. They were 1st in hits per game, 1st in batting average, 1st in on-base percentage with a 348 on-base percentage going into today. So Griffin Cannon has faced 3 very good lineups outside of Miami. That's the one that that hasn't been too well this year. Miami Marlins, not a very good team, but he faced the Blue Jays, shut them down. He faced the Astros, shut them down, and now faced the Cardinals, who so far have been the best offense in MLB, and he shut them down. So very pleased with what Griffin Cannon was able to do today. Let's go Mets. Raul says World Champs 2025. Hopefully. I'm not going to say that just yet. I hate saying the Mets are going to win a World Series because I say that every year. Not going to do it anymore. But would be nice. But to bounce off Griffin Cannon, let's get into this Mets offense. Mark Vientos hit a nice home run today, like I said before, going over the right field wall, just hooked fair. So that was nice to see. Get his first home run of the season. A guy who a guy who in 111 games hit 27 home runs just last year, hit 4 home runs in the postseason, had a phenomenal playoffs. Like he went off. So we'll talk about a little bit more of Vientos in a little bit, but I want to touch on Brett Baty and Luisangel Acuna. Brett Baty had another great game today, had an extra base hit. Again, he went 2 for 3. He brought his batting average up to 209, which is not the best, but compared to what it was just a few days ago, he was batting 175 just yesterday. So now Brett Baty, in his last 4 games, he's on a 4-game hitting streak right now. He went 2 for 3 tonight, went 2 for 4 against Minnesota just yesterday. Against the Athletics on April 13th, 1 for 5 with a nice triple, and then 1 for 4 against the Athletics the day before. So 4-game hitting streak for Brett Baty. In his last 6 games, he's got 1, 2, 3, and then 5, 7 hits in his last 6 games. So Brett Baty is starting to heat up a little bit. And like I said before, I put out a tweet that I don't want to give up on Brett Baty. If you were listening to the show yesterday, I was saying I still think Brett Baty has something to prove. Even though, just a week ago, I would say Brett Baty should be the guy that goes down to AAA, not Luisangel Acuna. Luisangel Acuna has more to offer this team, which I still think he does, but Brett Baty still has that potential. Like, he's still only 25 years old. Brett Baty killed it in AAA last year when he got sent down. He killed it when he got sent down in 2023, in 2022. Like, Brett Baty can be that guy. And if Brett Baty starts to hit, if Brett Baty becomes what we think he could have been just a few weeks ago when he was raking down in spring training, this Mets bottom of the order would completely change. And it showed you today. At the bottom of the order, they got a lot of production today. Juan Soto didn't hit. Pete Alonso didn't hit. But guess who did? Francisco Lindor in the bottom of the order, they produced. And look what happened. They put 4 runs on the board. They had 8 total hits. So, and you got to give a lot of credit to a guy like Brett Baty, who in his past, like I said, his past 6 games, he has 7 hits. So hopefully he continues to build off this, because if Brett Baty can be an impact bat for the Mets, it is going to be huge. All right, let's talk Luisangel Acuna. He had another great day at the plate yesterday. Like I said, not, the ideal outcome with the game. A 4-3 walk-off win for the Twins. Reed Garrett, still has a 0.00 ERA, and he pitched another clean inning today. Reed Garrett, AJ Minter, to Edwin Diaz. That's an intriguing setup. And then, obviously, Diaz, when he doesn't walk guys, he looks great out there. But, Luisangel Acuna, like Brett Baty, he's starting to heat up a little bit, too. He sneakily has the 3rd best batting average on this team. Actually, I don't know anymore, because Francisco Lindor did go 3 for 4 today, so I do want to check his batting average out, and I'm going to touch on Lindor in a second. Yeah, Lindor improved his batting average to 268. So now Acuna, not unfortunately, has the 4th best batting average on this team. He's hitting 263, so he's right behind Francisco Lindor, Louis Torrens, and Pete Alonso. Actually, he jumped Louis Torrens today. Louis Torrens is hitting 256 now, so Acuna still has the 3rd best batting average on this team. I wish it was, Lindor or Alonso and Soto had the best, but, we can't get everything that we want in life. But yeah, Acuna, I really want to see him get some reps in center field. I think even when McNeil comes back, if we can kind of get, let's say, an Acuna in center, Nimmo in left, Baty at Acuna in left, Baty or McNeil at second, whichever way you want to do it. Even put McNeil at second, Baty at third, DH Vientos. I think we'd get a lot of offensive production out of that lineup. Because Starlin Marte, he did have a nice double today, but I still don't want to buy into Starlin Marte being a great DH for the Mets this year. Jesse Winker, I love him, but he's off to a slow start this year as well. He did have a good day at the plate yesterday. He went 2 for 5, but still off to a slow start so far. And if we can see a little bit more of Brett Baty and Luisangel Acuna in the lineup at the same time, along with Mark Vientos, by DH and Mark Vientos, or you can even DH Brandon Nimmo. Maybe you put Brett Baty in left field. You have Acuna in center field if you really want to get fancy. And then you obviously put McNeil at second with Vientos at third. Get Nimmo some rest, who I think could use a lot of rest. If you listened to the show yesterday, I'm a little worried about Brandon Nimmo. But listen, man, I want to see Brett Baty and I want to see Luisangel Acuna any way I can. because I think those two, if they produce, it could change the landscape of this bottom of the order. And, we're going to have Francisco Alvarez back as soon as next week. We're going to have McNeil back by this weekend. So that should help. But if we can get production out of Acuna, out of Baty, I think this Mets lineup looks completely different, because we don't know what the type of hitter Baty can be if he's at his best at the MLB level. Baty at his best in the minor leagues was an elite player. If he can be, I'm not saying I want him to be an elite. I do want him to be an elite player, but I'm not saying he can be an elite player. But I'm also saying, yeah, he can be an elite player. I'm out of my mind right now. I think Brett Baty could be a real impact bat for this Mets team. I still believe it. I'm not giving up. I said it before this podcast. I said it yesterday. I am not giving up on Brett Baty just yet. And so far, he's proven me right. Like I said, in his last 6 games, 7 hits, another great game out of him today, another extra base hit. In his last 3 games, he's got over 5 hits. So hopefully Brett Baty can build off his performance that he's had over these past few games. And even tomorrow, I would DH Vientos. I would put Baty at third. I would rock with Acuna at second. Or even, maybe you shift Nimmo over to center field and you have Baty play left, or have Acuna play center and Baty play second. So I would like to see Mendoza get a little cute here tomorrow. Try to keep putting Baty and Acuna in this lineup. Obviously, you want to keep Vientos in, so maybe you keep him. Like I said, you got to keep him at third. You can get cute, put Acuna in center field. You can put Nimmo in center field. You can shift Brett Baty over to left field. Do whatever he has to do to keep those two in the lineup at the same time. I would love to see it. So very happy with what Brett Baty has been doing. All right, I want to touch on Francisco Lindor. I'll get into the Yankees, and I'm getting out of here because it's going to be a quick one today. Lindor, 3 for 4 today, improved his batting average to 268. Going into today's game, he was batting 239. And this early on in the year, when you're batting 239, you have a day like Lindor had today, and you go 3 for 4, you improve that batting average to 268, just like he did today. Just 3 days ago, in the second game in the series against Minnesota, he had a 274 on base percentage walking out of that game. He now has a 329 on base percentage. So Lindor just completely flipped his numbers in one game. And that's what I love about early on in the year. And that leads me to my next point, because Lindor won. Before I get into this next point, Lindor, I can't say enough about him. Like, leading off the game, he got another base knock today. Going into today, he was batting 440, leading off an inning. He does obviously get so far he's had now 19 opportunities to lead off. But it's just great to see him really produce out of that leadoff spot. I really think that's the perfect spot for him. I don't think we should switch up the lineup in any way, shape, or form. Lindor needs to be our leadoff guy, because once he really gets going, it's going to be a scary lineup. Once Juan Soto really gets going, it's going to be a scary lineup. I expect Pete Alonso. I don't expect him to hit over 350 like he is right now, but I expect Pete Alonso to still have a very good year. So this top 3 of the lineup could be one of the most dangerous top 3 in all of baseball, really outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But for Lindor to have the day he did today, he needed that. Love to see it. And obviously the base running, he messed up. He said he messed up in that rundown. Tyrone Taylor scored, but you know what? It worked out. So no complaints there. You would like Juan Soto to come up in that situation, but Juan Soto has been slumping lately, so I was happy to get a run across the board. But yeah, like I said, Lindor completely flipped his numbers with 1 3-4 game today, and that's what Juan Soto needs. Like, that's what Juan Soto really needs, because right now, after today, after another hitless performance from Juan Soto, let's take a look at his numbers. Juan Soto is now hitting 221 with a 361 on base percentage, a 412 slugging percentage. Not great, not what you expected from Juan Soto through the first 19 games of his Met career at all, but listen, players start slow. Carlos Beltran started his career off slow with the Mets. You look at the Yankees, Mark Teixeira, when he got to the Yankees, he started his career off slow with the Yankees. So I'm not surprised to see it. Like Lindor, another guy who started off slow after he came to the Mets on such a big contract. So there is a lot of pressure on you once you sign a deal like that. So I'm not surprised. I shouldn't say I'm surprised at all, but it does suck because he's Juan Soto, and I want to see him just rake. But it's also a good sign because we're first place in the National League East. We're a game up, and Juan Soto's hitting 221 right now. And Juan Soto isn't going to hit 221 all year long. We still have a lot of baseball left this season. So once Juan Soto really starts to turn it on, the Mets are going to be a very good team, probably even better than they are right now. So if anybody's worried about Juan Soto, I think you're dumb. Like, no offense, but I think you're dumb. You can be disappointed. Like, hell yeah, I am disappointed with what Juan Soto has done so far this year, but I am not worried whatsoever because, if anything, I am satisfied to the fact that Juan Soto is slumping and the Mets are still winning to the point where they're first place in the NL East. So don't be worried. Don't be worried. And just like Lindor, like I said, he took his batting average from in the 230s. Now he's hitting 268 in one game just because he went 3 for 4. That's what's so great about early on in the year. Juan Soto can go 3 for 5 tomorrow and bring his batting average up to over 270. So let's see what he does. Let's see what he does. All right, let's flip to the Yankees. We'll talk about them for a little bit, and then I'm heading out because I am exhausted. I got an early day of work tomorrow. We're going to be going live tomorrow again, but, going to be a short one today. We've been doing a lot of long ones. I went live for like an hour and 10 minutes yesterday. All right, I'm exhausted. Got to get out of here. Yankees, another great win. I really wanted to talk about the Yankees because I want to talk about Ben Rice. Ben Rice, I was very high on him in the offseason. I was very high on him even after last year because when he got sent down to AAA last year, in 30 games, he had 12 home runs and drove in 31 runs. And so far this year now, he has a 414 on base percentage one, which is very, very similar to the on base percentage he had when he was down in the minors. He now has a 317 batting average after he went 4 for 5 today with a 650 slugging percentage, 2 RBIs on the day. So now he has a total of 9 RBIs in his 17 games played so far. He now, going into today, he had 15 hits in 16 games. Well, now he has 19 hits in 17 games because that's what happens when you start the year early on. Like I said, one really big game could drastically improve your numbers, and Ben Rice did that today. And I think Ben Rice could be a real force in this lineup. I think he needs to start getting reps at third base because, Oswaldo Peraza did hit a home run today, and that's great to see, but I don't expect that to happen all year round. Oswald Cabrera, same thing. Like, he's having a decent start to the year. I don't expect him to have a decent year all year round. And when Giancarlo Stanton comes back, if Ben Rice is still hitting, they're going to need to figure out a way to keep Ben Rice in the lineup. And I think the way to keep Ben Rice in the lineup is to get him reps at third base. It's going to be interesting to see what Aaron Boone does, to see the decisions Brian Cashman makes, because you can't just send him down to AAA because he's been performing so well in this lineup that you don't want to just send him down to AAA to practice third base. So maybe early on in the year, maybe you can get away with it, getting him some reps at third base early on in the year rather than maybe biting the bullet later on when Stanton comes back and Ben Rice is performing. So you're like, all right, well, let's put Ben Rice at third base. No, you do it now. So just in case that problem does occur, that problem would be very nice to have. Just in case it happens, you make that decision now. Get him some reps there, see what he can do at third base. Because if he can be there every day, third baseman, you can have Trent Grisham DH more, and Trent Grisham's having a great start to the year. So it would be huge for the Yankees. Will Warren, I was talking about him yesterday. Will Warren, in his first 3 starts outside of this one, has pitched great. Came out after 1.2 innings today. He had a quick hook today. But yeah, he allowed 1 run on 4 hits and 2 walks and 1.2 innings. So he didn't look too well at all. But, he limited the damage. I can say that because he only allowed 1 earned run after allowing 6 base runners in just 2 innings. But, you want to see more. You want to see more. And he is a young guy. But the bullpen, you got to give them a lot of credit. Outside of Ryan Yarbrough, who let up 2 earned runs. I mean, Tim Hill shut him down today. Ian Hamilton shut him down today. And then Devin Williams, finally a clean inning out of Devin Williams. I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans were happy with that. So, Yankees, they improved to 12-7. They remain in first place, a game up over the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East. They're continuing to roll. It's tough. It's tough to really see what this Yankee team is right now. Because the Mets, I can kind of define them. I think they're going to be a good team because they have a good pitching staff and they're winning without Juan Soto. But the Yankees, it's tough because their pitching rotation is absolutely terrible. Their starting rotation sucks. Like, there's no way to sugarcoat it. So their offense needs to bail them out a lot. Their bullpen needs to bail them out a lot. They need another starter. Like that's about it. Like that's really the only thing I could say about this Yankees team right now. They need another starter. Like that, I don't think they need two starters because Louis Hill will be back at some point. I like Will Warren. So I think with Will Warren, with Max Fried, you add another pitcher and you have Louis Hill come back mid-year. By August, you're going to have a good rotation. But they need another starter. They do need another starter. All right, that's it for me today. We're going to talk a lot tomorrow. Probably going to be going an hour plus again, talking Yankees, talking Mets. But that's it. Just want to get on quick, talk about a little recap. Like I said, I love the performance Brett Baty put together, and I love the performance Ben Rice put together. The two young guys, both, first place teams right now. So I just wanted to hop on here and talk about it because I was bored. The girlfriend's in Pennsylvania right now with her mother. So, yeah, I got nothing to do. So that's why I've been going live a lot lately. But we'll be going live again tomorrow as well. Nice Friday night. Beautiful day out, by the way. If you caught the game, Mets, would have been amazing to go to this game. They had over 38,000 people in the stands, which was awesome. And then Tampa Bay Rays, basically playing at Yankee Stadium down there in Tampa Bay. So I'm sure there were a lot of Yankee fans there today. It did sound like it because every time the Yankees scored, a lot of loud cheers, which is normal because even with the Mets, like they go on the road and there's just so many Mets fans and Yankee fans around this country where they just not fill up, but in today's case for the Yankees, they filled up that stadium. They were selling out in spring training. So I wasn't surprised to see this today. But yeah, we got game 2 with the Yankees in Tampa Bay tomorrow. And then we got game 2 for the Mets and the Cardinals tomorrow. Friday night baseball, Carlos Rodon, hopefully trying to bounce back over his past few performances because he let up 4 earned runs, 2 home runs in his most recent start. And his last 4 starts, he's let up 5 home runs, which is alarming. You'd like to see a little bit more out of that. And then the Mets, they have, my opinion, the second best pitcher in New York right after Max Fried. They got David Peterson on the bump tomorrow against the Cardinals. So 2 lefties on the mound for tomorrow for each team. I'll see you guys tomorrow night after both games. I'm out of here. Deuces.